Hi everyone. In today's video, we'll talk about the top 10 microfiction themes or topics, whatever you choose to call them. Now, I'm going to go through the top 10 microfiction themes and topics you could probably write microfiction on. But if you want more, up to 50, and you want deep, detailed instructions and how to use the prompt and what to work with them on for each of these 50 themes, that you probably will never run out of stories or ideas to write from, then you should go to buildwriting.com/microfiction dash, was it dash or hyphen teams. I'll put a link in the video description, and that way you'll be able to see the detailed blog post on the instructions and everything. So, in this episode, I'm going, as much as possible, I'll try not to dwell too much on one particular theme, because it's about 10. If I start dwelling too much, this video will be very, very long, and I want it to be as fast as possible for you. The first one, which is very common, is love and relationship. And I know the first thing that probably comes to your mind is romantic relationship, which is part of it, but it's beyond just love. It's just beyond love and relationship. It's just beyond romantic relationship. Love and relationship could also be what is the relationship between a brother and a sister? Like, it could be that the relationship is breaking, and then in an attempt to do something, he's probably trying to get a gift, but in trying to get the gift is trying to get for the birthday, that even after years of forgetting the birthday, he's trying to remember this birthday, and he tries his best. All the forces seem to be against him in trying to remember the birthday. Or it could be that even after all the forces are against him, he still doesn't. He remembers, but he still doesn't deliver. And you see, one of the things that happen is that you try your best to show up, and then you don't get to show up, and people don't really understand. Like, that's all you always do. You come up with your excuse and silly stuff and everything, and that breaks his heart, or the heart, or whatever. That's the story idea that you could work with. You get, so love and relationship. It could also be about love, romantic relationship. It could be that it was a love, a romantic, forbidden love and relationship that did not work out, and every time someone looks at something, it reminds him of that stuff, that he has to hide it. He has to hide that object. He cannot throw away the object, because then it will be that he's throwing away the only little trace that he has of that person. Like, it's such a complete complex situation. He cannot throw away the thing, and he cannot put it out there to be seen, because then if he put it out there to be seen, he's basically reminding himself, he's basically torturing himself every time he sees that object. So that's one way of doing love and relationships. That's one of the popular themes. The next one is identity and self-discovery. Yeah, I think most stories, one of the conflicts we have in storytelling is man versus self. Yeah, and most times they call it in the internal struggle, but it's very like you're just there, you're struggling with yourself. You have these thoughts, you have these different voices in your head that you're struggling, and you don't even know who you are. You think you're one thing, but on the other hand, there are evidence to show that you're not that thing, and it's a full story on its own. You get, and it could play out in different forms, in different ways. And then there's self-discovery. So something could happen, and then you realize that, oh, this is who I am, or this is who I am not. And it's a different ball game entirely. So I said the first one is love and relationship. The second one is identity and self-discovery. The third one is time and memory. And time and memory is something that seems to be intertwined. Yeah, joined together. Not exactly joined together, but somehow they have this relationship somehow. Because one thing with memory is that sometimes with humans, especially with age, body, sickness, and all the other things, once you age, dementia starts setting in and all those things. So with time, over time, sometimes the memory start fading. And what you could probably do is that with time, the memory could actually reform and grow up. I'm just giving some ideas that you could probably work with. It's the memory grow up. What I mean is that instead of the memory to fade, the memory starts assembling itself, start piecing himself together. And over the years, they become real and real and real and real. And even when they sit down, it seems they have trances of the things that happened. And yeah. Another thing, this is not necessarily a prompt, this is just a rundown of the popular themes. The fourth theme is death and loss. Yeah. It's a very common thing, death and loss. How does a character move through grief and unexpected death? The unexpected, like, death is usually unexpected, except in some scenarios, yeah, where we go like, oh, the person has terminal cancer. Even the terminal cancer, usually before that, it's usually unexpected. Oh, just that the unexpected becomes unexpected, and then you're like, oh, he has cancer, like, oh, he probably live for 6 months, and then that unexpected it becomes unexpected, but then it's not something that would expect to happen, even though we know that, oh, this is the time that probably the person would die. So there are different ways you could look at the story of death and loss. And in terms of loss, apart from losing someone, there are things that you lose, that it seems as if you lose a part of you. You've lost yourself somehow. Yeah, the different ways you could approach the story. So death and loss. The fifth one is technology and humanity. Yeah, I talked about one of the conflict is man versus self, and one other conflict is man versus technology. With AI and everything happening out there, it could be someone who probably lose their job, and there are different ways you could move on this story, and it's really really exciting. It's one of those themes that technology and the humanity, and then you see sci-fi and other stuff, but not just sci-fi. It could be any genre of fiction, yeah, basically. And then the next one you have moral dilemma. What a moral dilemma. Moral dilemmas are, at that point in time when you have, I'll tell a short, a simple story. So you decide what you should probably could do. Now, the case of a man who was raised to never tell a lie, and he's a religious man, he's a pastor, or whatever, it could be whatever religion it is, but he's a religious man, is an example for everyone to look up to. And he does not lie. He could not lie. Like, he must not lie because he's an example. A lot of things will fail. A lot of people will lose belief if he does lie or whatever he does. And then some probably war breaks out and all other things happen. And at one point in time, he has to choose between, should I lie and these people will believe me and they will not kill those people that are hiding in my house, or should I tell the truth and these people will be killed? There are better moral dilemmas that I know you could probably work with, but at that point in time, something he has to, because then if he tells the truth, he will live forever with the thought that they died because of him and all these other things. The other moral dilemmas, a lot of them, you can check up what are some examples of moral dilemmas online and use them to write your stories. And the next one, we have nature and environment. Yeah, one of the conflict man has is man versus nature, man versus a hurricane, man versus a tornado. What happens? Man versus an earthquake. And a lot of stories, an earthquake happens, a lot of people trying to survive and everything, and nature comes into play, and a lot of things are happening. So that's an example, that's a scenario. So the question is, how does he deal with it? How does the nature probably submerge him? Because, oftentimes, one of the sweet things about stories is that they surprise us. They surprise us. Yeah. The eighth form of microfiction theme is social issues and injustice. There are a lot of stories around that. And there is racism, there's discrimination, there is rape, there is so many social injustice and social issues. So many. Like, you could go, what are the top 10, top 100 social issues? Just search it online. You'll see a lot of them that you're like, where do I even start from? You will have a lot of ideas that you probably would not, like, before you finish with that, with one thing, you probably be like, I feel like I'm a social issues or injustice writer, something like that. Yeah. And then the ninth one is dreams and reality. Yeah. One of the things I've loved is I loved when writers, in a way, allow dreams and reality to blur into each other, where the reality is a dream and the dream is a reality, and you can't really tell per se. Yeah, I've really loved that whole idea and concept. So it could be that a character probably is losing his mind or something like that. It doesn't even have to lose his mind. There are a lot of creative ways you could work on that, dreams and reality. And then the 10th and last one is isolation and connection. What happens when a man is isolated? And okay. The idea that is coming up in my mind right now is, what would actually happen if you are in the midst of people, yet you're isolated? How could you possibly tell a story in such a way? In every attempt to connect, there are these invisible walls that shut you out from the people. It's not necessarily self-inflicted. Like, you're trying to strike a conversation with someone, you're trying to talk to someone, you're trying to make eye contact with someone, and for some reason, it just seems that you are visibly invisible. Like, people see you, but they see you to be ignored. It's just like how you might see a fog or something, not a very dense fog, but you just see it. It's visible, but you walk through it, like pass through it, and you move on. Like, it's visible, but it's invisible. Like, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm confusing myself. So let me know which of the microfiction really resonates. Microfiction themes really resonates with you, or the topics really resonates with you. And if you love to see more, you can go and check out the blog post in the description below at microfiction. Buildwriting.com/microfiction themes. I'll put the link in the description. You can go check it out there and get inspired. Okay, that's that for now. Until next time, keep writing.